right, let's turn our attention to our talking point now. The turn of events, the current turn of events in the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has become a drama of interest in political circles. Now, was this a tale foretold? Was it expected? The reason, of course, cannot be far-fetched, going by the crisis that had bedeviled the party prior to the 2023 general elections, and what has continued even after the elections. Well, I'm joined in the studio at this time by a public policy analyst, Chima Christian. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
We also expect to join us, hopefully in a while, by the former spokesperson of the 9th Senate, Senator Dayo Adeyeye. And of course, we will also be expecting to join us the National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Debo Ologunagba. We hope that he will be joining us very shortly, virtually, via Zoom. But Christian, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Let's begin with the very latest development in the PDP. Just this afternoon, reports came in that following the court order that was obtained at the Makurdi High Court yesterday, the national chairman of the party has been suspended and an acting national chairman has now been appointed. How do you see that development?
Well, the PDP as a political party was formed in 1998. And the founding fathers of that party, some of them who are still alive, if they look at the ethos and the vision and the dream they had in mind when forming that G8, G34, G20 what, then to the PDP, if they were to look at what PDP has turned out to be, it's my own analysis that the PDP may have become a shadow of what it was originally intended to be. And therefore, I am not surprised that the party has found itself in a quagmire of some sorts. By the way, PDP leadership crisis is not new to the PDP. No chairman of the PDP has not had some form of embattled tenure. Look at what this man is going through. Your chair, are you? Look at what Secondus went through before him. Look at the guy before Secondus. So what PDP is playing out is merely a PDP living up to its reputation. Are
you saying that this is in the PDP DNA?
Of course, a party that cannot respect its conventions, a party that cannot respect its constitution, a party that cannot respect even internal politics within the party. It's obvious what the outcome would be. 1 + 1 is always 2. So even if the next national chairman emerges and the same thing continues, it is more than likely that we'll come back to your studio to discuss that he is also involved in one leadership crisis or the other. Without PDP changing its course substantially, put any chairman over the party, it will still survive.
Well, of course, this is not peculiar to the PDP. You recall what happened in the APC a few years down the line. I mean, when the former chairman national chairman of the party, Comrade Adams Oshomole, was actually went through the same ordeal that Ayu is going through now, and eventually was eased out of office. Is this therefore to say that it is an issue with the leadership of political parties, or the way the political parties are set out or set up?
Well, I've written something on this before, and I boiled it down to ownership of the party. The parties, regardless of any one of them and whatever nomenclature they present themselves with, is still not owned by Nigerians. I can't tell you any party that is owned by Nigerians in the real sense of the word, because what you have is that there's an ownership structure within the party that has made the parties, quote-unquote, being captured by bigwigs within the party. At the state levels, the governors own the party. At the local government levels, you have chiefs, fiefdoms who are controlling the parties. I've heard one of the people who were making comments in the tidbits, especially in Kogi, saying that they are waiting for their leader to say the word and they will follow, which means that they don't believe that APC in Kogi is owned by all APC members in Kogi, but rather owned by one person who was opportuned to be elected the governor under the platform of the party. Where was this man 7-8 years ago? Today, he's now seen as the acclaimed owner, or in some quotes, the owner of the party. So where he wants to lord his wishes over the people of Kogi State or other APC members in that state, then you begin to have crisis. If you take it up to the national level, same thing. So, and then when you talk about ownership, you talk about funding. Party activities are quite they have cost implications. Running the party, I can name all the things the party does with their funds. They have cost implications. Unfortunately, members of the party are unable to fund the party. That is why the party has succumbed to the capture of those who have deep pockets. In states, you have governors being the chief financiers of their parties. In states where you don't have governors, you have chiefs or former governorship aspirants or candidates being chief financiers of the party. In places where they have elected representatives, those elected representatives take charge of the party. What happened to all members of the party paying their annual dues or whatever it is that is due to them, so that there will be collective ownership? But when you have relinquished, you are a member of the party, I am a member of the party, and I refuse to pay my dues, and every other thing we defer to the chief to pay. And then when it comes to critical decision making, the chief will want to lord this over all of us. So what you have is also a give and take system in all the parties, that there is no clear ownership structure. It is not yet owned by Nigerians. It is not yet owned by the everyday people. So until that ownership changes, then what you see is the turf of quote-unquote owners battling it out as to who will have more stake, not the people. The people always don't have issues. It is at the elite level, wanting to remove chairman, wanting to remove candidates, wanting to plant candidates, wanting to plant successors. That is where you get all these troubles around it. So maybe at some point in Nigeria, we'll begin to see a party that is people-owned. Unfortunately for now, especially at that elite level, those two behemoths, it is still not owned by Nigerians.
One of the requirements for registration as political party in Nigeria is that the political parties or political associations, before they become political parties, must have constitutions,
yes,
which they file with the INEC,
yes,
and which they are required by law to respect and obey.
Yes.
Now, all the political parties claim to have constitutions, they claim to have rules and regulations that they have given to themselves. But unfortunately, it appears that they do not abide by those documents.
It's unfortunate because the parties are also populated by everyday Nigerians. What you see happening at the party level is a reflection of the everyday life of Nigerians. If, for instance, Nigerians cannot respect traffic lights, if they become chairman of the parties, can they respect their party's constitution? If Nigerians cannot respect ordinary queue, maybe at the banking hall, at the school, or anywhere, then if you have a constitution, are you expecting them to change overnight? I mean, if you put a lizard in a plane and you land him or the lizard at JFK in the United States, what will come out of the plane is still lizard. It won't turn it into alligator overnight. But what you can say, you can argue that the lizard now has animal rights, but it's still a lizard. So if you take the average man on the streets, who does not see laws as something that is to be obeyed, who does not see conventions as something that is to be obeyed. I was walking into a friend's office. He is a director within one of the health institutions. And I see do not enter without face mask. And I say, I'm not entering your office. He says, why? I say, this is the clear instruction on the door to your office. Do not enter without face mask. I cannot enter without face mask. He said, no, leave it. I said, then tell them to remove it. Because as little as those signs are, they were instituted during COVID-19. But now we are out of COVID-19. Those laws are still there. In my own state of Anambra, we had emergency COVID-19 laws that empowered the governor to take emergency actions. It made the governor almost an emperor. And I've argued to some members who are my friends in the State House of Assembly, repeal this law. You have given the governor too much powers that he can use that powers any day. Repeal this law, we no longer have a health emergency. During the time when we have another health emergency, we will convoke another assembly and give him emergency powers. So even as little as signs on the door, Nigerians cannot respect. Then take them to become party chairman, take them to become members of the political party, take them to become presidents of Nigeria. You will still have the same system playing itself out. Yes, so you talk about leadership, but you also talk about national reorientation.
Where should it start from? From within the political parties, or it should be the responsibility of, say, NOA?
Every unit must supply. Because what I see in Nigeria is almost gross irresponsibility, where the citizens tend to see themselves as perfect individuals and the political actors are the devils and they are the angels. It doesn't work that way. At the leadership level, we must strive to elect credible leaders. And then when we have elected them or they found themselves in positions of responsibility, it is expected that they will become credible and act in manners, because the everyday person on the street is looking at them and looking up to them, because they are becoming role models of some sort, right? So at that level, you argue that we should strive to get good leaders and they should strive to live out the ethos that they want to see with the rest of us. So at that leadership level, you have a question. But also at the followership level, there's also a problem, because I don't know whether it's about our civic education. I don't know whether it's about our cultural institutions that you're looking at gradual erosion of norms and values. I also don't know about if it has to do with our religious institutions. Every day you see new churches springing up, new mosques springing up. Nigerians are more religious, but when it tends to do that, the more we pray and the more we subscribe to one particular faith or the other, that the more it does not reflect in our lives. So you see people who go to church on Sunday and on a Monday they are different persons. So maybe what they are hearing on Sundays is not reflecting in their lives. So, you know, all units must supply educational institution. I'm glad that they've brought back history. I'm also glad that they are reviewing the curricula for civic education at that level to train our young ones to respect Nigerian flag, Nigerian constitution, Nigerian national anthems, red state stop, all of those things at that level. Then you have that education level, you have the cultural institutions, you have even social media, and those of you, of course, in the media are doing quite well at that. But maybe the media also has to intensify its efforts in national reorientation.
Let me bring you back to the issue on the table right now.
Yes, please.
And take you back a little bit, some memory lane. You recall that some years back, the then national chairman of the APC, who is now a senator-elect, Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, eventually was removed from office on account of a court order. First was his suspension at ward level, which it appeared didn't take too seriously. And then, of course, there was a court order which dragged on for a while and eventually led to his removal. Same for the then PDP national chairman, Mr. Secondus, who was also suspended at ward level, and then there followed a court restraining order, just
the same pattern.
The same pattern with the Oshiomhole case, and now with Iyorchia Ayu. Now, where do you see this going? I mean, this latest development. Where do you see it?
Iyorchia is going home. He's going home. Because that he has sustained himself this long in office showed you that the owners of the party wanted him to stay this long. That they have withdrawn their support from him is also showing you that there's a testament, because no building can stand on its own. It must have pillars. Iyorchia Ayu was faced barrages of attacks against him. You are aware of that, including ones coming from River State, Nyesom Wike. There had been efforts and attempts to take him out. Those courts that gave judgments, they have been there all along. His ward chairman had been there all along. The ward executive had been there all along. But there was this force that was protecting him in office. What I see now is that that force has removed its hand. And except if Iyorchia is able to convince the owners of the party to retain his services, he's more than likely to, go find the next thing to do.
In other words, are you saying that, do you think, for instance, that the G5 governors may have anything to do with what is happening, or could it really be a disenchantment with him from his home base, as indicated by those who removed him, who say, look, you lost your unit, you lost your ward, you lost your state in all the elections that have taken place this year. And in addition to that, you have not been paying your dues since 2017.
Well, where was those? Anyways, about losing his ward polling unit and all of those things, those are usual yardsticks that politicians use to test their ego. That I am from a particular polling unit does not mean that I command the attention of everybody in the polling unit. If we have real democratic ethos, Iyorchia should have one vote in his polling units.
And if I was accused of not participating in the voting?
Oh, well, then he should provide explanations. Maybe he was at a situation. I don't want to make excuses. He should answer to his party right? But what I'm saying is that, yes, you have the issue of a witch crying in the morning and in the night, and the baby dying in the morning. It's also not surprising to me that the court that procured that gave that order, right, is also a court quartered in the domain of one of the G5 governors, right? So I'm expecting to see fireworks from River State, courts in River State as well.
Who had, in fact, a few days earlier been suspended.
Well, so it seems like the PDP is in the party, like it's just, you know, a game of suspension now. Let's see who will suspend each other the better. So we are watching the gradual decline of the PDP. And by the way, when you're talking about the PDP, one of the questions you ask is, what is the performance of the party in the regions it used to hold strong? What is the performance of that party in the Southeast, for instance? The PDP went from controlling the 5 states of the Southeast to controlling 1. And then even the one they got, the questions are out there. How did they get it? The PDP, even when Ojukwu ran for office under the platform of ABGA, the Southeast still overwhelmingly voted for the PDP. Had been doing that consistently. How did the PDP mismanage the relationships within a certain demography that they could not get 10 to 15% of the votes in that region under the leadership of the person you're talking about? And so what you're looking at is that the party has lost big stakeholders at that elite level, but they also lost followers at the local level, at the grassroots level, as reflected in the results. Because you see that their natural base of voters are no longer with them. Maybe we say some went the way of Labour Party, but even at the elite level, some of them are no longer with them. Some went to, of course, APC, but you see that the party has mismanaged its fortunes. And if it continues in this dance of who will suspend each other the better, then it's more than likely to predict what the natural outcome for the PDP would be. And it has tried, if indeed, because if it has stayed since 1998 to this point, it has tried. So if these people continue to drive down the party to a place where it will become, I don't think it's, okay, that's, okay, you could argue now that it's still the opposition political party because of the results. But in terms of momentum and energy of Nigerians, especially young Nigerians, PDP is not seen as the main opposition party now. So if it continues to act in ways that whittles its influence, then it will only be a matter of time before the natural law of attrition takes place within that party.
Is this a natural path to follow after every electoral defeat, electoral loss, that recriminations take the center stage?
Well, any party that loses, especially those who have the opportunity to win, will ask themselves serious questions. Why did we lose? Why did we lose? And so if the PDP is a party that wants to introspect deeply, it should ask itself questions. Why did we lose? And it's not even about losing the general elections. It's about losing the trust of voters. How come that these people that have particular voter, for instance, might have voted PDP in 1998 states local government elections, 1999, 2003, 2007, 2011, 2015, 2019, and in 2023 you are not able to retain that voter? The PDP should be crying for itself. Unfortunately, I don't see that kind of introspection going on. What I'm seeing is who will put the party chairman and who will become the new landlord or who will control a major stake. This is like a company to them. So what they are looking for is who will have the controlling shares and who will, take decisions. It's not even about the ordinary man. Once they have that deep introspection about why they lost certain votes in certain places, then you could begin to see the party talk about respecting its constitution, talk about reconciling the differences, talk about enthroning justice, especially intra-party justice within the system. Until they have that conversation, anything they are doing at the surface level, whether they take out AYU, they keep out AYU, they put anybody, is mere cosmetics, and cosmetics cannot solve a problem that is now looking more like it's fundamental.
Do you see a group within a party at the moment trying to do that? Because there is, for instance, the G5 governors who are saying that, look, we need to take back our party, and that the party was actually hijacked before the elections, and there's a need to take it back, reorganize it, and put it on a winning pedestal again. Do you see this as a genuine effort?
Who are those people you refer to as G5?
The G5 governors.
They are Yesom Wike. They are Ugwanye, Governor Ugwanye. You have outgoing Governor Otom in Benue. And then you have other governors. You have Chima Christian. And so all you have to do is to query their intentions. If it was really about the common man, what happened in Rivers, can we introspect what happened in Rivers, both at the federal elections and the state elections? So when they say take back the party, they're not talking about repurposing the party to the service of the ordinary man. They are saying, no, there is now a person who controls major stake, major shares in this our company. We want to deflate his shares so that we'll have the controlling. So it's not about, so what you see about, if we see genuine reconciliation or genuine attempts to repurpose the PDP, we will know. For now, what you have is warlords. They have drawn out their swords and they are at each other's throats trying to take the controlling share of the party. Once they are able to get to a manageable place where those warlords are comfortable giving me my region, or at least I put the national, because look, see how it is decided. One person brings the national chairman, the other says, okay, let's appease you with the national secretary. The other person says, let's appease you with the national public secretary. The other person says, nominate your candidate for this. So what you are seeing is just conquest for land or for shares, like I've mentioned to you. It's not about us. So when we see genuine reconciliation, we will know. For now, they can continue to entertain themselves. The voters are watching them. The voters are watching them. And then even the second position they have now, if they continue with this attitude, of neglecting the needs and yearnings and aspirations of ordinary Nigerians and continue to talk about them, then let's see what happens to them after now.
All right, we'll continue our discussion in a moment, but let's take a short break, and when we return, we will be bringing you our social media, politics on social media segment. But for now, let's take a short break. What would be your concluding take on these developments? Where do you see, say, the PDP in the next 1 week, next 1 month? How can they resolve these issues that appear to be tearing them apart at the moment?
Well, it's not a big issue that is tearing them apart. They are elites at that level. Once they're able to decide who owns what in the company, you will see all this noise fizzle away the next day. So I'm not too much worried about the PDP. But what is happening in the PDP is could happen in the APC, like you've mentioned. Then it's also there for the Labour Party to look at it and look at the funding structure, who finances the activities of the party. The party has now new elected representatives. It has one new governor, and then I think several House of Reps members, some at the state level. The party should begin to ask itself questions. How do we protect ourselves from suffering from all that usual sicknesses of the quote-unquote big parties? So that conversation should be had. It should talk about ownership of the party, who takes decisions for the party. Is it the leaders of the party or the people in the party? For instance, there is a primary that will go on in Kogi and in other states. Who decides what the process is like? Is it the people who will choose who they want to become their governor? Or is it one man who will decide because he was privileged? And when you're talking about Kogi politics, it so much pricks my heart that people speak of it with so much arrogance. Because even the current governor, beneficiary of divine arrangement, he was never in the race. Remember, it was Audu Abubakar of blessed memory, who was just a few minutes away from being declared the governor and answered the call of nature. And today, another is governing in his stead. Instead of people to approach that opportunity with humility, they have now arrogated themselves, the CEOs of the Kogi branch of this company called APC, and they are in effect lording it over the others. And you see people running around, where is the governor going? That's it, not where the people want to go, but where is the governor going? After 8 years, you've not done your best. The records are out there of Kogi State governor. His records are out there. And then he wants to pick a governor for the people of Kogi State. It is yet to be seen how those things are going to happen in the fullness of time.
All right. Thank you so much, Chima Christian. Is a public policy analyst. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today.
Thank you so much for having me.